This episode is sponsored by the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Hollywood Casino and ESPN Bet want to help you get ready for football season. Download the ESPN Bet app today and explore an action-packed online sportsbook. Then stop in the casino to catch the action in person with a tailgate party on September 8th. Visit HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com to see how you can reserve your package. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Professional wrestling superstar Mercedes Moné defends her NJPW Strong Women's Championship tonight at Capitol Collision at the Sports and Entertainment Arena in Washington, D.C. She joined me to preview the event, as well as her history-making matches as Sasha Banks in WWE and her current run as the AEW TBS champion, having just defended the title Sunday at Wembley Stadium. Hey, Mercedes Moné. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are talking to the AEW star Mercedes Moné, formerly known as WWE Sasha Banks, but she's competing tonight at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Capitol Collision, love that name, at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Southeast DC, home of the WNBA's Washington Mystics, actually. All right, so before we get to the AEW stuff, I know you got two belts around both shoulders right now, but let's start with NJPW. So you're defending the Strong Women's Championship tonight that you just won at Forbidden Door a few months back. So who are you defending against tonight, and why doesn't she stand a damn chance?
I am facing Momo Wannabe, because she wanna be me, tonight. She is a Stardom and New Japan superstar, and she stands no chance going against the CEO of AEW and of New Japan. I am really the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and I know Momo's known for her knee strikes, but I'm also known for my knee strikes as well. So I feel like tonight is going to be a battle of the knees. But I'm so excited to just knee her in her face and let the whole world know that I am the Queen of Japan. So I can't wait to defend my championship tonight. It's going to be a blast. So tickets are still on sale at Ticketmaster right now. So make sure you bring your friends, your family, even your dogs, and come out and to support me.
Man, I quote you, I can't wait to knee her in the face tonight.
Yeah, it's just a little knee. Maybe one or two.
Here in D.C., we have Republicans and Democrats doing that all the time, kneeing each other. Or they should, maybe. That's great. That's great. What are some of the other big matches on the bill tonight? Do you have the list in front of you?
Yeah, we have Leo Rush is in action. We have Zack Sabre Jr., who is one of the greatest, who just won the G4 championship. We have a lot of New Japan superstars in action. So if you're a fan of New Japan or Strong Style, make sure you come out tonight and support your superstars.
Yeah, we'll link to the whole list of the matches, and so you can see the full lineup, folks. All right. Well, in addition to the NJPW Strong Women's title that you have, you also hold the AEW TBS Championship after your in-ring debut at Double or Nothing in Vegas, is where you beat Nightingale for that one. And then recently, right, you just successfully defended against Dr. Britt Baker at All In. This past Sunday at Wembley Stadium. How much of a rush is it competing in front of 50,000 plus?
I'm still on a high from it. I mean, it was just a couple days ago. I'm still on a jet lag. We just did TV, AEW Dynamite, but I'm still on such a high because that was over 50,000 people. And last year, I was just a fan in attendance, still with a broken heel, dreaming about, which company am I going to be in? And now this year, performing at All In at Wembley was such a dream come true. It was so amazing. The crowd was electric, and I can't wait to do it all again next year at All in Texas, in Dallas. So it's been such a really exciting time for professional wrestling because of AEW. And I just enjoy being the face of TBS, which you can watch every Wednesday on TBS with AEW Dynamite.
Absolutely, yeah. A memorable cameo at the previous All In the crowd, and people were waiting you would join the company, and then you did. And a year later, Here you are headlining and defending, and it's got to be wild. So many more Wembleys to come, hopefully, for you.
Yes.
Well, and we've had Tony Khan on. He seems like a real huge fan, so we're all pulling for you, AEW.
Thank you.
Well, whenever I have someone on, I always love to remind people sort of, some of the career highlights as well. I know you're born in California in 92, which was, I guess, the same year that your cousin Snoop Dogg was doing the Chronic with Dre, the year you were born.
Yeah.
But I know you rap on your own theme song now too. So how close were you to Snoop growing up? Was it a tight family? Like, did you know each other well?
Um, I didn't know him until I was probably like 10 years old. And my dad was like, your cousin is a really famous rapper now. I'm like, oh, cool. And then when I was 16, he took me to WrestleMania 24. And that's when we really started to become close because our bond is the love of wrestling. He grew up such a wrestling fan, and I grew up watching wrestling. So when we went to WrestleMania together, and he was just like, which wrestler is this? Which wrestler is that? And I named them all of them off. And I told him one day that I wanted to be a wrestler. And he's like, you know what? If this is your dream, you got to go do it. And then, like 10 years later from that event, of him taking me, he's walking me down the ramp of WrestleMania 32 for my own, very own WrestleMania. So it's been such a beautiful connection. And it's all due to wrestling. It's so awesome.
It's so awesome. Your dream did come true, and I'd love to hit some of the highlights real quick because you're making history. To me, it doesn't matter what brand you're in. You've done them all. Now it's AEW and NJPW, but you've made so much history in WWE and even NXT. Because
Mhm.
memories of that Iron Man match against Bayley. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were famous for sort of inventing that, but you all made it the match of the year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I think they called you Woman of the Year that year too. It was like the longest women's match ever at the time. Does that one
Yeah.
have a special place in your heart since it was sort of on the developmental side with Bayley?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that match was after my most incredible match with Bayley from NXT Takeover. We did so good that they had to give us the main event at NXT at the following pay-per-view. And I remember that match going what over 30 minutes, or it was a 30-minute match. And anytime I'm in the ring with Bayley, she is by far one of my favorite people to perform against. There's always magic when we're in the ring together. So that's definitely one of my favorite highlights of my career, just because at that time, women were not even given 10 minutes for a match. So to be given 30 minutes for an Iron Woman match was so incredibly special. And that was the first ever women's match to main event a WWE Network special. So it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, it shattering these glass ceilings right and left, and you did it again as the youngest Raw Women's Champ in 2016. I think later that year, I think you and Charlotte Flair became the first women to headline a WWE pay-per-view at Hell in the Cell. I think that
Yeah.
was feud of the year. Similar to like you said for Bayley. What does that whole program with Charlotte mean to you? That also made history.
Um, it meant a lot because I started out with Charlotte in 2012, and I remember being in developmental with her, and just with that last name of Flair, I was like, just because you're a Flair, you're not better than me. So my whole career, I just always had to show her and everybody backstage and in the wrestling world that even with an amazing, incredible last name as Flair, you're never going to be better than Mercedes. Because I was born to do this. I have such a passion for wrestling. I've watched wrestling every single day since I was 10 years old, 24 hours out of my lifetime. So having that feud with Charlotte was such an amazing experience. I really felt like it helped put women's wrestling on the map, and she pushed me through to new heights that I've never even been before in the ring. So I've had an incredible feud with her before.
Absolutely. All right, time for maybe one more of these glass ceiling shattered moments at WWE, and then we'll wrap it back around to the event tonight in Capital Collision. Yeah. So after that, I guess what 2020, you become the youngest SmackDown Women's Champ ever, making history, Wrestler of the Year, Sports Illustrated. That's a title that you're forever in the history books with what Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. But there's boom right in the middle is you as a Woman Wrestler of the Year, winning the overall title. That's amazing. But I want to ask you about Bianca Belair in 2021. You two became the first black women to ever headline WrestleMania. And I remember it being emotional when the bell rang and the crowd was on its feet. Just go back to that moment of how emotional that was.
It was so emotional because dreaming about main eventing a WrestleMania is almost undreamable. Like you can only dream about it laying on your pillow. That was one of my ultimate dreams since I was 10 years old, but it was so big that I didn't even think it would be possible. And then here I was at WrestleMania 37 in the middle of the stage, in the middle of the ring, with Bianca, and just being like, wow, we are we are doing this, and this is so much bigger than us. This is bigger than wrestling. That moment was so special, and the way she looked at me, I was like, girl, you better stop before I start bawling and we slip in the ring because of our tears. But it was so incredible. To main event WrestleMania 37 was absolutely one of my biggest dreams come true. And that was our first pay-per-view back with the fans after the pandemic. So just to be in front of an audience again was just so amazing as well. But that match I will never forget. And it's definitely one of my top highlights of my career for sure.
Absolutely. Well, see, at the top, you said you called yourself the GOAT of women's wrestling, and these accolades, I think we're just rattling them off one at a time. That I think makes a case for it. I think you can make a case for it. Well, I guess sort of in closing, we got to wrap it back around from you leaving WWE to AEW. And as respectfully as I can ask this question, the whole why did you leave and why has AEW been a welcome fresh start for you? There's been a lot of turmoil and turnover over in that company, but I remember you walked in and told Vince you were leaving. So yeah, I'll give the floor to you. Why was it time to go, and why has this been a good, a new start for you?
Because AEW is where the best wrestle, and I'm the best wrestler in the world. It's been so absolutely incredible being in AEW. I feel like to have different opportunities, work with a lot of people that I've never worked excites me so much. I'm feeling nothing but amazing ever since I signed that dotted line with AEW. Now I am a two-time champion. I'm at two belts Moné, really making headways of changing the game of professional wrestling. Professional wrestling, it's been the best it's ever been in the past 10 years. So I am so happy to be part of the company of, making new headways.
Absolutely. And I just had Jeff Jarrett on a couple of weeks ago, and he was just saying, we
He's the
basically were,
best.
we were just saying that, it's a rising tide raises all boats. You want to see all the companies doing well because it gives,
Yeah,
the superstars more places to work, and it's just great all around, so it's awesome to
it
see.
really is.
Awesome. Well, I
It's the
guess
best
final
time to be a
seconds. Who
wrestling
else do you
fan.
want to face in AEW? Who do you got your eye on as potential matches?
Well, I saw Mariah in the heavyweight championship, so I'd love to face her. Tony Storm is incredible. Thunder Rosa, Chris Statler, Jamie Hayter just made her return at All In, so I'd love to step in the ring with her. I mean, it's the dreams are endless there at AEW because not only do I get to have the AEW roster, I also get to face the Stardom roster, the CMLL roster. AEW is going global, so any woman who wants to come after my championships, I'm always ready.
Yeah, well, good luck to them. I don't think you'll ever lose them. Yeah, you'll be the double champ forever.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, everyone, show up live in person to see NJPW's Capital Collision tonight at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Southeast DC to see the AEW star Mercedes Moné. You're not going to want to miss it. She's going to do some knees to the face. Let's go. All right. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.